Well, that was a very interesting talk about the Shard. Have we ever seen anything remotely like that in Jersey?
Yes,
How long? Next century?
in my lifetime.
But the next planning officer behind us, I don't know what he would have thought about that.
Well, I mean, even for London, that's an incredible scheme. Even today, the Constable of St Mary's said he wouldn't mind a Shard on up St Mary at Crabbe. Would you believe?
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, it is extraordinary.
Tall sounds attractive. There are lots of benefits. I live in a tall,
Yes.
one of Jersey's tall buildings,
Yes.
and for me, it suits me perfectly. No single guy. I don't need a garden. There's shared garden. Somebody cuts the grass. All those sorts of things are wonderful. But for lots of people, it wouldn't suit lots of people, would it? And even for working, it wouldn't suit lots of people.
Well, it might suit the youngsters, might suit the students, might suit the elderly if you're clever about it. Certainly in Scandinavia, high-rise housing for the elderly is an option. So I think we're too narrow-minded here, too insulated. There's all sorts of things, clever things going on out there. We should get smart, research these and see them. And
Strange enough, in that there was a reference to Guy's Hospital,
Yes.
and they said that's one of the tallest hospitals, if not the tallest hospital in the world.
Yes.
Now this island's looking at hospitals now.
I've been to Guy's, I've been to Guy's, yes.
How many floors is it? Do you know?
Guys, I'm guessing it's a tall building. It's as big as the building they knocked down to do the Shard. I reckon in the region of 15, 20 floors.
So in Jersey, something like that for the hospital would solve several problems, wouldn't
Could have a
it?
vertical hospital. I don't
Vertical
have
hospital.
Any problem with that at all.
It is, honestly, for commercial reasons, for all sorts of reasons,
Yep.
tall buildings are a solution, aren't they?
Yes.
Design-wise, they do look quite dramatic as well on a good day.
They're a solution for Jersey. If you look at, go to Venice.
Right.
What do you see in St.
Right,
Mark's Square?
right, that's
You
right.
see a Campanile, you know?
Well, as you said
Nobody
before, you
blinks.
went to Chartres Cathedral, and obviously
Yes.
a huge
Yes.
building
Yes.
amongst domestic scale buildings.
Even in Paris, just going
Exactly.
in a taxi from Gare de Montparnasse to Gare de Lyon, as you do, there's the Montparnasse Tower, and as you drive in long, you just see this building, but then it's 40 floors high.
Have we got
So
the
what?
have we got the skills to do them in Jersey? Do this
Yes.
sort of, we have.
Yeah. Oh yes. I'll give you a tour building. Give me a site.
Right, and the
You have to be sensitive as to where these buildings are, but nothing. There is a document out there which Mr. Shepherd did, saying where tall buildings would be okay. Personally, I thought the Eric Kuhn Towers in the Dandara scheme were fantastic. Why not?
why not?
Identified with sales, We're agreeing with Michael.
Well,
First time in 20 years we're actually agreeing on something.
I am a designer of sorts, a naive designer. I know it is true, but I am interested in design.
I know you are.
And after all, there are lots of things about life which aren't very well designed, and it's not necessarily in the building world. It's things, everyday objects, which are
Yes.
not well designed.
Yes.
And you have to be conscious of these things, don't you? And there are better ways of doing things, aren't there?
Yes.
And tall buildings is not necessarily a bad thing. You can make a tall building which is bad, you can make a single-story building which is bad.
The resurgence in tall buildings. There's 263 tall buildings come through the system, planning system in London at the moment. Would you believe?
I looked at one of the Niedermeyer, because when you last talked, you mentioned about Niedermeyer, the 102-year-old man, or 106-year-old man, I think he was. And one of his early designs, just two simple blocks, I don't know how many floors it was, but it was a tall building. But it looked superb. It looked superb. But that must be 40, 50 years ago. Is it familiarity that we accepted, or is it just the fact that good design? Is that what it was? Just good
Well, we've
design?
got to get the design right. Whatever. I particularly admire the Shah because the design is right, the proportions are right.
A lot of the things we get wrong with buildings are basic things like insulation.
Yes.
Now they've had to clad where I live on the tower blocks,
Yes.
social housing. They've had to clad them from an insulation point of view. That wasn't too difficult a thing to do. But with the Shard, if you wanted to suddenly change technology, our standards change in 25, 30 years' time,
Problems.
it's
Triple
difficult.
brace at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree with that because it's a layer of glass, then it's 300 millimetre, then a double layer.
Right.
You can always insulate on the inside. you know,
Right.
a bit more glass.
Right.
So money, isn't it?
Right.
I don't see that as a problem.
We can't imagine what other standards. This is it. We can't foresee what the standards are going to change, can we?
You
No.
know, I haven't got it with me, but I wouldn't mind recording on your camera the ring I was given by Sun and Prasad that talked about natural disasters. There's no such thing.
Right.
There are natural events and there are human disasters. Again, you see, I think I was kind of criticised by somebody on the radio for being a bit hard, but
Well, certainly this week
I
there's
think
been a...
you shouldn't be designing on earthquake lines. You shouldn't be building on earthquake lines.
No,
You know?
that's right.
Why should you be doing that? Why should you be doing that?
Well, of course,
Building on the side of volcanoes or in line of a tsunami or...
people don't necessarily choose where they're out to build. Complicated, there are all sorts of social issues on that basis in
Yes.
Jersey as well.
Yeah.
But most interesting, as a start
Can't
to
blame
your,
the architect for
as a
everything.
start to your series, an excellent speaker.
Yeah, it was. It couldn't be better.
No.
It was
A challenging subject, tall building.
a very helpful man because in
Yeah.
January he told me, I think he mentioned it actually, he told me to go down the shop at 4 o'clock so I could see the daylight and see the evening, the darkness inside 1 hour, you know. So the discussion will continue. Even though he's been to Jersey before, he's been with the engineers before. But that was a year ago, but now he's back. You know?
Okay, very, very enjoyable couple of hours. Thanks for putting it on.
And
Cheers.
thanks for coming along.
No problem.